Most people invest a lot of time and effort in the initial research and vetting process when they're investing in a franchise. But in my experience, very little people actually include their exit strategy options early on and have a set plan on when or how that strategy is going to take place. A good exit strategy can literally make or break the final payout of that franchise investment, regardless if you own just for a few years or for decades. If you don't plan on and have a good exit, your hard work, investment, and years into this business may not have the best outcome. I'm a partner here at Friendship Consultants, where we help individuals look for, research, vet, and eventually invest into purpose-driven franchises. Today, we're going to talk about exit strategy options for franchise owners. Selling to an existing franchisee. Now, an option that is very common among franchises is when it's time for you to exit and sell your franchise and move on, either retire or move into a different business, is to sell to an existing franchisee, especially if your franchise foster and promotes multi-unit ownership. You may actually have an existing franchisee that is within your local region or even outside of your region that is already a multi-unit franchisee or it's planning on becoming. So instead of starting another franchise from zero, they could just purchase yours and they would have cash flow on first day and they don't have to go through all the process of ramping up their business like they did the first time. And also the approval process is usually a lot easier because you are selling for someone that is already part of that franchise. So it goes a lot faster and the approval is usually a lot easier. Selling through a business broker. Now, if you check with the franchisor and there are no existing franchisees that would like to buy you out or become a multi-unit or expand their footprint by acquiring your franchise, an option that I am personally very fond of is to use a local business broker. A local business broker will have a network of buyers. They usually belong to an association of other brokers. So very much like a real estate agent that will work in your behalf in finding a good buyer to sell or buy a property, a business broker can do that for your business. And the great thing is that they do a lot of the heavy lifting, so you don't have to spend time into vetting people that may not be qualified. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time really going through candidates that you don't know if they're actually a good fit or not. The business broker can do a lot of that work for you. Now, the con is that you will have to pay that business broker usually a percentage of the sale. Anywhere between 8 and 12% is expected, but it's usually only if that business broker can indeed find someone that will eventually purchase your business. Selling the business yourself. Now, this option for a lot of people may seem very good and appealing because you don't have to pay anybody to sell your business, but you have to account all the time and effort that one have to put into selling their own business. So you have to market in a confidential way. You would have to go through potential candidates and vet them, make sure they are actually qualified. You're gonna have to spend a lot of time really promoting in a confidential manner and at the same time avoiding your internal team to know that you're looking to sell. So I personally don't advise anybody to try to sell their business on their own unless it's a unique situation, like you have a family member who wants to take over your business, or you already have a buyer that is lined up and ready to go, fully qualified, which at that point, all you need to do is to find a good business attorney that can help you with the paperwork. But in most cases, that's not usually how it happens. So I have a lot of people that I met throughout my career that try to sell the business on their own just to avoid paying a business broker, ended up getting a lot less than what they could if they were to use a professional, and also they had to put a lot more time than what they anticipated before they sold the business. Transfer back or buyback by the franchisor. This option is not very common, but there are a number of franchisors that own and run their own units. So they actually may end up buying it back if it's a good fit for their business model. This will facilitate the whole process, and it can be very easy because the franchisor, they know exactly the business model, the business system, and they know the numbers. If you've been doing this for a few years, they know exactly where you should be. And if you're already there, you can actually have a very nice exit just selling it back to the franchisor. So as I mentioned, this is not very common, but it is something that happens. I personally know a number of franchisees that when the time was right, they offer back to the franchisor, and the franchisor actually took the chance and bought those territory backs. Now, I also know franchisors that have a clause in their franchise agreement that at renewals or at certain periods of time, they have an option to buy you out. Even if you don't want to sell, they actually can come in and say, hey, we have an option here in the agreement and we want to buy you out at a fair market value. So I know one specific franchisee that after running a senior care franchise for over 10 years, the franchisor actually decided to take it back and bought them out. And the franchisor really couldn't say anything. So this is something you also want to make sure that it's not part of your franchise agreement, because if it is, they could at any given time take it back. It's not common, but it's something that I've seen it happening, and it could be part of your strategy going forward. Gradual exit or semi-absentee transition. This option, it's an option that a lot of people don't consider, where others, it's exactly what they want to do. And what it is really you don't ever sell. You don't ever walk away from that business. You just really diminish the amount of your involvement. I've seen this happening with family members, where family pass this along to their kids or grandkids, and they continue somewhat involved in the business in a less extensive way. So it's more of a legacy that they're leaving behind for their children. And instead of ever selling it and cashing out and doing something else, they remain owners, but at that point they are more of a board member, or they prefer just to be behind the curtains helping, and they like the idea that they built something that now it's being operated by their children or grandchildren, and that's exactly what their strategy was from day one. So this is not very common, but it's something that can be done, and if that's part of your long term, this is a great option, because not only you built a business for yourself that was a great business for many, many years, but now that same business is also carrying on as a legacy. And that's it for today's video. Remember, here at Friendship, all we do is to help individuals look for, research, and invest into purpose-driven franchises, especially those that could be a big part of your future retirement. So if you want to learn more about what we do, please reach out directly to me by email, joe@friendshipconsultants.com, or you can check our webpage, friendshipconsultants.com. Thank you.